Okay, hey, welcome. Sorry for the delay. The internet was broken, but we fixed it. So, welcome to the first TTL AMA. That's a mouthful. I'm Daniel from ADORAMA, and we're here with all the photographers who took part in the TTL series that we've had on ADORAMA TV. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, then I don't know how you found us. But if you haven't, go youtube.com/ADORAMA TV. Under the Pro playlist, you're going to find all of these TTL videos, and you'll get the stories. Some of the stories of all these photographers that are here today. Going to do a little housekeeping first so we can get to the fun. Oh, I don't know how to work my phone. Okay, so if you have a question, please go onto our social, which would be @ADORAMA. So that'd be Twitter, Instagram. That's it, Twitter, Instagram for questions, or Facebook. And you can hashtag it TTLAMA and ADORAMA NYC. So if you use those hashtags, actually, if you're sitting here and you do it, that'd be kind of funny. But you can also just raise your hand, I guess, and we'll make sure we do that. So, of course, everybody knows about ADORAMA. You know, this is a more than a camera store. But also, if you don't know, we have a second website that's kind of a blog-style site called adorama.nyc. You can find out all the stuff that goes on in the store, all the local stuff here. You would have known about this event by checking that out. I feel weird with people behind me. There's never anybody behind me when I'm doing this. We'll step back. So you can check out adorama.nyc. You'll see the full event schedule, everything that's going on. And also, we record these things, these long-form presentations. They're also on that site. So if you check out adorama.nyc next week, this whole thing's going to be up, so you can put it on repeat and just keep watching it over and over again. Is that everything? Full events, hashtag. Oh, also we have contests. So if you want to take part in our photo contest, check out adorama.nyc. So again, social is @ADORAMA. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And ask us some questions. Take it away, Sal.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, hello everybody. I'm Sal. I'm a video producer here at ADORAMA. I'm usually behind the camera or over there directing the live stream, so I'm not used to being in front of the camera. But since I'm responsible of through the lens, I'm the guy that created it, shot, edited. I gotta be the one talking to them and do the interview. Let's get started right away. A little thing about how Through the Lens, was born. Basically, I just wanted to do short documentaries on photographers for ADORAMA. I wasn't big at all in Instagram. I honestly thought it was just a way for Kim Kardashian to do selfies. So my only photos on Instagram were photos of food that once in a while I used to take. I didn't know how big and important is Instagram today, especially for big corporation, big brands. Now they're using Instagram in a very heavily. And it was a surprise because once I started contacting photographer, I found out about this beautiful work that was on Instagram, Despite the square that is not there anymore, despite, the little format and the raw resolution, some work was just amazing. So I decided to, dig in and start. And what was also even more amazing is that usually photographers are kind of grumpy and they're not even very good in front of the camera. All these guys were like rock star. It was usually honestly, every interview was 20 minutes long, maybe, something like that. It was very, very short because they were right on point. And you will see it right now also how they respond to questions. So, yeah.
No pressure. No.
So, let's get started. If you guys can briefly introduce yourself, just, name, Instagram, and what do you do in general. We go maybe like this, and then in the back.
I'm Jose. All right. I'm Jose Tutivan. I go by Toots, Tuts, and I'm a freelance photographer. And I'm based in New York.
My name is Natalie M. Rossi. I go by Miss Hatton on Instagram, and I am a freelance photographer. You have him.
I got my own. My name's Dave Krugman. It's dave.krugman on Instagram, and I'm a photographer, and I also work in advertising.
Hi, everyone. My name is Neil Brito. I go by It's Neil B on Instagram, and I'm a full-time commercial photographer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carl Pierre. I go by Visuals by Pierre on Instagram and in real life. I'm a freelance photographer, content creator, and filmmaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Gio, aka Inciting on Instagram. I'm a freelance photographer and I'm part of the marketing team for Street Dreams.
Cool. Okay, so let's start with questions. So this event is gonna be basically like in 3 parts. Let's say the first part, I'm gonna do some question that I didn't ask in the actual show to them. The second part is gonna be question from the crowd here at Adorama. And the third section is gonna be question from online because we are live streaming right now. People online, you can start right now asking questions. Erwin right there is gonna write it down. And for the people here, if you didn't do it, there is a raffle. So if you get your ticket, you can win prints from this amazing photographer right here. Let's start with Gio. Let's do like the opposite now. Let's start like, tell me, how did you start on Instagram? Okay, how did you get like involved with Instagram? And also, if it's funny, what was your first picture? Usually the one that most of us probably deleted because it was stupid. But that would be fun to know.
Okay, so about a year and a half ago, I started Instagram through my phone, taking more photography. It was kind of funny the way I started because I was working. I was on a break, and I saw this guy reaching over a puddle, taking a picture of a puddle. So my first reaction was like, "What's going on? Like, what is he doing?" So I saw him take the picture, and I approached the puddle. And as soon as I see the puddle, I seen a reflection of a building in Soho. So that sort of caught my attention, and that sort of inspired me, the curiosity to take that same image, and just taking. That was my first image. Just taking random images of the streets and whatnot. So I worked at American Eagle like 3 years ago, but people were on Instagram back then. So I was not big on social media, but that sort of inspired me to create an account. I posted my first picture and I got like 10 likes, and that was like the best day of my ever. So basically, yeah, I started posting pictures, and little by little, weeks went by, and Steve Sweatpants was the first person to follow me. Shout out to Steve. So then he followed me, and then from there, I just started seeing different content. The Explore page was kind of different back then, but you were able to see all kinds of photography of New York, and that sort of inspired me to keep taking more pictures with my phone. I didn't own a camera back then, but that puddle was my first picture. That's what started everything.
What was the question again, real quick?
How did you start on Instagram and your first picture?
Oh, okay. So I started on Instagram because I was going online. I followed this photographer and filmmaker, Philip Bloom, and he was talking about Instagram all the time. So that's why I went on there. I downloaded the app. I remember my first photo was a picture of Barack Obama on TV. I don't know why I took it. It was really crappy. I just shot it on my iPhone, and then that was like my first photo. And then like after that, I would say a good year of being on Instagram was just photos of me doing random stuff, going out, drinks, food. Didn't really get into the selfie stuff, but it was a bunch of random stuff. And then like I think maybe like after my first year in, I started seeing this other side of Instagram that had a lot of talented photographers. And me coming from like a video background, I just saw it as like just a new way to use the app and a new way to explore stuff. And then I just started taking actual photos around the city with my iPhone and then with my DSLR camera. And from then on, I just was an Instagrammer. So.
My first time getting on Instagram, I was on Twitter. And I was looking at all my friends that had iPhones at the time, posting Instagrams and putting it up on their Twitter. So I'm like, what is Instagram? And I didn't have an iPhone at the time. I had an iPod Touch. So I was on a plane to Miami, and I was like, cool, I got Wi-Fi. I'm going to download the app and see what it is about. And most of the people I followed, they were all posting selfies and stuff like that. So obviously my first picture is a selfie. I still have it up. And after that, I was just sharing pretty much my life every day. Like whatever I was doing, I was posting it up on Instagram. And it was until I went to a first Insta meet in New York City, and that's when I met a whole bunch of other people, and I started looking up their feeds, and they showed me how to use the app in a different way. So after that, I kind of gave it a full swing from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. My story is pretty similar in that, like, I downloaded Instagram probably a couple months before I started really using it. And I just kind of used it like a visual journal. And I would, when I first moved to Brooklyn, I was taking a lot of pictures of street art and, wheat pastes and all this stuff that was, I considered to be kind of like fleeting and would disappear soon. I was like, oh, it would be cool to have a visual record of this stuff. And then I think the first photographer I ended up following was Chris Ozer. And I just saw one of his pictures of the Brooklyn Bridge or something, and I was like totally blown away. I was like, wow, like people can really use this platform to share high quality work. And it's not just because it's a square, just because it's on your cell phone, doesn't mean it can't be serious photography. So I took a workshop that he put on, and through that I met a bunch of other people who were doing it and kind of followed them, and it just started meeting more and more photographers and taking it more and more seriously. And then it became less of a journal and more of like a daily portfolio, like always trying to take a better shot than the last one I took. But like these guys, like if you go all the way down to my feed, you can see all that old stuff is still there. Sometimes people will go all the way back and leave a comment, and I'm like, oh god. But my first photo, I think, is just a picture of some graffiti in Brooklyn. I think it's like 2,100 photographs ago. So if you have time, you can go see it.
Use that.
Sure.
So my story is very similar to everybody else's. I started Instagram about 2.5 years ago. A friend of mine recommended it for me because he knew how much I like to take photos. So, I downloaded the app. I was really into it. But it wasn't until I started working in Manhattan, and every day I'd be so inspired by just the culture of New York City, that I would take photos of it, and that's what I would post on my feed. And the reaction I would get from people just really got me excited. And my first meet, I met, Jose, and he was actually like one of the first people that, took me out, and I learned so much from him just by being around him, watching him take photos. So I think the community really like helps motivate and inspire all like each other. So yeah, with that, my first photo, I think, is either a selfie or a food shot, because I am a huge foodie.
I think I'm the oldest one here that actually has been on Instagram. You could definitely see my first picture back like in 2010, late 2010. Extra filters on it. So many filters. I was killing it on the food game though. I don't know about you guys. But I didn't start taking seriously. I didn't start realizing like the potential of like seeing Instagram and showing your vision until I started meeting people like following people like Chris Ozer and Jacob Santiago and a couple of other people that are just in the community that was taking it like really serious on that level. And that's when I started to wonder, let's see what this leads to, and I started becoming more inspired. But I would say like I started taking it seriously maybe 2.5 years ago, close to 3. And then from then on, once you get surrounded with all this inspiration and all this community around you, it just opened a whole new floodgate of just wanting to explore and explore and explore, and you just become more overwhelmed and inspired, and from there on, that's it. I'm here right now with all these guys, and I think I've been following most of all these guys forever at this point, and I'm glad I can see these guys, succeed in this level.
Okay. So let's get into like serious questions now, a little more deep. A lot of people don't realize, but Instagram has a lot of power, like marketing power nowadays. Facebook bought it like I don't know how many years ago, I don't remember, but because of the information, the market information that Instagram can have. And these guys right here, this little group is like few million followers. I don't know, I didn't count it, but we're talking about a lot of followers here. And the problem is that, some of you started your career thanks to Instagram. And the thing is, it's a different career than a classic photographer. Because you're not, let's say, sometimes free to have a growth that is like, it's just yours. Because there are likes and comments. So my question is, how much likes and comments do you think affected your growth as a photographer, like your style? If you try maybe in the past to change subject or change style, and people didn't like it, and you stopped shooting that. That kind of stuff. You want to start? Or do you like the opposite?
Damn. I don't know. I think for me it was just more, everybody looks for validation. Everybody looks for some sort of like acceptance on what they're doing. You get lost in it at the beginning because you feel like you're doing something right, or you feel like the people that you're looking for validation are approving your type of vision. But in the end, what happens, at least for me, is that you start to find, what inspires you and what caters to you and what you feel like you're drawn more towards. And once you step out that box of looking for validation, you pretty much have to understand that you gotta show your vision instead of trying to replicate other people's visions. So, initially it is difficult at the beginning just because it's like high school at the same time. You want to sit in the cool chair or in the cool like lunchroom, like the cool table. But in the end, you just grow and you just kind of develop your own style and you find your niche and stick with it, and that's it. And just at the, once you realize that whatever you shoot makes you happy, that's all you need to do. And eventually people will follow you and will encourage you to continue doing it, the right people at least.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't know if this is a good idea. I definitely agree with Jose. I think it is important to get feedback, and just because it does help you grow as an artist. So, whether it's good feedback, bad feedback, any feedback I think is always positive because it helps you grow. But, at the same time, you do want to find your own unique style, and you do want to take photos that make you happy. You don't want, to be too influenced by other people. You could be inspired, but, you should stick to what you enjoy, and that's what I've been trying to do. And, yeah.
So I think actually like the likes and the comments are what makes Instagram such a fascinating place, because it goes back to this thing. It's such an efficient feedback loop. Like within 3 minutes, if a photo is going to do well, or you can get immediate response. And like Natalie just said, that's what creative growth is putting something out into the world, or like even going further back than that, like absorbing. You might follow 600 people, see 600 images a day, incorporate that into your creative ability, and then put your own work back into there and get immediate feedback. Repeat that 2 times a day for years and years and years, and I think that can really train your eye and train your style. But then you run into this problem of, we know that certain images will do really, really well, and like take your average likes up, or something like that, and that's better to show brands, and it might help you get more jobs or something like that. But at the same time, you can't be beholden to the numbers, because for example, portraits. I'm sure a lot of us have had this experience of, we know that if we put up a portrait of somebody, for whatever reason, it just usually doesn't do as well as like some epic cityscape and stuff. That's more, a portrait might be less transportive, but it's still very important. And I think that the key is to kind of, don't fall for the numbers too much, and you have to like really follow your own passions and your own creative drive, and then that's how you build an audience, and then that audience will support you for the work you put out. So even if you for example, I know that videos get half the engagement of my photos, but I still like to put up videos. I'm still going to put up videos because that's like a direction that I want to push myself in. Even though I know I'll take a hit every time I put up a video. I lose followers a lot. They just don't do nearly as well as my photos, but I want to do videos. So I think that like I would recommend pushing it in every direction that you see fit.
Honestly, think feedback is important, but likes and comments tend to be a little bit biased sometimes. I think growth is more about consistency and surrounding yourself with people that inspire you. Likes and comments, everybody looks for validation or some type of compliment. But, at the end of the day, a lot of people will see your picture but not like it. Or, you can't just sort of like base your whole growth on that. It's important just, to keep posting, keep doing what you're doing, stay true to yourself. And at the end of the day, the people that would like your stuff and will leave a comment regardless. I wouldn't just focus just on the comments or likes. They do help. They do give you some type of input. But at the end of the day, growth is within you. And if you're satisfied with the picture at the end of the day.
My stance on the whole likes and comments thing is basically, I like, the whole feedback of putting work out and getting that instant, gratification, seeing like if people like your work or not. But at the same time, I don't let it dictate how my creative eye. It's always going to be mine, always. So like I'll know what'll do well, I'll know what'll do great, but for the most part, is what I put out is something that I feel is amazing and that I want to share with other people. And if people are receptive to that, great. And if they aren't, then that's okay as well. But I want my work to be known not for what it is, but for the connection that people get from it. You know what I mean? So like whether I put a portrait up or a cityscape or some concert, live performances, people are connecting to it because they know me as a person and as a photographer, and they automatically are receptive to that as opposed to something that I put out that I think that other people might like. Because then it's not really genuine, and you just always want to be genuine.
Feedback is great when you post photos, but I'm very curious as a photographer, and I switch up my stuff every couple months. Like I'll shoot landscapes, I'll shoot city stuff, I'll shoot portraits. I try to give my audience who I am, like I don't really so much worry about the likes or the comments and everything. It does help a lot because it gives you could gauge what does well and what doesn't do well, but I still do, what fits me, and that's it.
Okay, so now let's do like a fun question. So any weird, interesting, funny, or emotional comment? Like think about all the comments that you received, something that was like super weird or super funny or something like that. Think about it like for a minute. Or even emotional, something that maybe inspire you or something like,
I'll start. I get all sorts of ridiculous stuff, definitely. Some of the most interesting things that I've ever read some of the most interesting things that have ever been said to me I've read on Instagram probably. But just from the emotional standpoint, if somebody says like anything along the lines of like, like you've inspired me to like go out and get a camera or go get into photography, like if somebody says that comment, that means more to me than like 10,000 likes. Any sort of it still feels like I'm just on my cell phone, and it's really easy to forget that you actually are reaching real people, and like right in the palm of their hand. And a comment like that is kind of a reminder of that. And I feel like sometimes when you're thinking so much about numbers and what time of day to post and all this strategy stuff, you forget that it's actually a community of people out there that are supporting you, and that really like, brings it home for me. And so, yeah.
For me, like Dave says, like a lot of the comments that are like about how much you inspired them or how much you like helped them get through a tough time in their life, depending on whatever you post. Because my captions, I always like to be like very motivational and inspiring. But if they get like something like a comment like that, you really, really feel good. But the funniest comments are whenever, because if anyone follows me, they know my locations. I always have Poppy in it, whatever, no matter what it is. So whenever I put a photo up and like people come up with their own poppies, it's like the best thing ever. And I die every time I read those comments. And if Instagram, if you're seeing this, bring custom locations back right now. Cut it out. All right, thanks.
I think I had my fair share of people just hitting me up, telling me that they feel inspired to buy their first camera or their phone. I think one of the weirdest messages I ever got was this. It was this kid from Jersey. He was like, I'm willing to follow you around and carry a camera, and just hold your stuff. So I messaged him back like that's not necessary. But I never got to meet him because I was like, we could meet up and I could show you around. You don't have to carry anything. But he never replied to me back. But if he's watching this, we could link up still.
I don't know. I haven't gotten anything like weird or funny like that, but I know. I don't know.
I don't believe that. I don't really know it.
I don't know why. mean,
She's hiding. She's
I'm gonna leave
hiding.
one right now.
but I do get a lot of people who are inspired, which means everything to me. It actually motivates me to keep going outside and taking more photos and trying to share my perspective with the world. So, you know, when I get an email and somebody like writes an essay on how I inspire them, that like truly touches me. I went to Portugal. This is like my favorite story. I went to Portugal about a year and a half ago, and one of my followers was standing in my hotel, and she was very emotional and really like happy to see me because she's been following me for so long, and when she found out that I was in Portugal, she just had to come meet me because she's so inspired by New York City and she loved my photos. And when I met her, it was the first time that I really realized how powerful Instagram is and how many people it does reach, because we're so lucky to, you know, live in a world like how we do, and other people don't have that. So, you know, I read her, she had a card for me in a gift basket and wearing an I Love New York shirt. And, you know, I took the gift basket upstairs and I read the card before I went back down to meet up with her, and I got really emotional. I like started to kind of like tear up a little bit. And, you know, I decided, you know, as I went down, I'm like, I'm taking her out to go shooting. Like, we're going to, even though it's 12 o'clock, it's my last day here and it's raining really hard. We went all around Portugal just taking photos. And to this day, we still keep contact. We follow each other. She supports me, and I just really appreciate it. So it's incredible to see how powerful the community really is.
I don't think I have anything funny, but I have more emotional stuff. I don't know, you know, if you watch my series, it's more, I get more driven or more people's attentions who are doing career changes. So I've gotten a lot of compliments and a lot of advice or just emails of how I've helped them pursue a total different career more than anything. So for me, that means a lot, because I feel like, you know, I wish I had a mentor or something I could look at when I was doing a career change, to that aspect, to help me kind of seek for advice or seek for some sort of like help on that. So when people email me, are mostly people who are considering wanting to make the change into the art world or in photography world in general, and I guess I've kind of helped them kind of like push and like fight for that passion, if anything. But I think those are the ones that are the most memorable ones for me.
So no weirdos, really?
Not me.
Okay, so now I have a surprise for you guys, actually. Something that I prepare for you, because yeah, I mean, you look at them, they are rock star, like they have the answer ready. They have people waiting for them in the hotel in Portugal. So, but you know, during the interview, some of you kind of like, you know, as some,
Oh no!
let's call it hiccups.
Bloopers?
Yeah, bloopers.
Oh man!
This is not a good surprise.
Hi, my name is Neil Brito. I'm a portrait and commercial photographer. Helicopter. I know. You'll have a whole bunch of bloopers.
I watched this video already. You saw this already?
Test. Click.
Wait, you guys showing my face? No? You good?
No, I don't like, what am I saying? Why am I talking about that?
I was in IT. Let me go back again.
So what I would want you.
Sorry. You asked the question again? Sorry.
Well done, bro. You look good.
Am I slouching? Should I sit up straight or anything?
I don't know. I feel awkward saying anything right now.
Click. That beer can is bugging me. I don't want that to move. Sorry, I'll be right back.
You see her on the selfie stick, dude, riding a bike. That's dangerous. Be careful.
Guys, excuse me, sir. We're doing an interview, so if you don't mind, thank you.
Like, I mean, there were a couple where I saw you did close-ups on people's faces. I was like, oh my God, I would die. Don't do that.
Am I okay?
Yep.
In the next episode of Through the
Click. You know what's crazy? You ask me these questions after like we're just chilling and having a few beers. I'll give you the best answers you ever heard.
Hi, my name is Jose Tutiven. I'm.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. Repeat the question one more time.
Go ahead.
It's just a camera.
Let me just, I have something in my eye, hold on. I'm gonna try one more time. My name is Dave Krugman. The hardest part for me is always just introducing myself. Because I'm always like, my name's Dave like.
Okay, can we pause? I screwed up.
I had this a lot better in my head.
I think what's gonna end up happening is like you got like the Wall Thornberry going right behind. Like a Pokemon appeared.
I don't like that answer. Cut. Wait, cut. That was bad. Okay. I don't know how to end that. Let's cut that part. Wait, I'll start over. Wait, hold on. We'll redo it.
The wind that knows.
We'll redo the whole thing.
That was awesome.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Neil Brito. I'm a portrait and commercial.
Just a little present for you guys. And by the way, these metal prints you see here are gifts from ADORAMA Pics for you guys. So you get to keep your favorite picture.
Nice, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's get back to questions. Let's talk about gear. So what do you use and how important do you think gear is to be successful? Who wants to start?
I can start. Yeah. Recently I've been using the Sony A7 system. So I use the Sony A7 II. And the reason I actually got into that was because it's a full frame mirrorless. And basically what that allows for me is the ability to use a lot of older vintage lenses and you know, I can use Canon, Nikon, Leica, Voigtlander, anything with the right adapter. I can put on the Sony body, and it really is like having an old rangefinder, but with all these new technological enhancements. So, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but if you look at my work, like a lot of it has a very specific kind of like the way that the focus falls off is something that I really pay attention a lot to. That being said, just about the importance of gear. I think that at a certain point it is important to have really good gear, but as you're learning, it's more important to focus on the craft of photography and not really worry about the gear. Like I always say, if somebody's just getting started in photography, try to master your iPhone, and then by the time you're ready to buy a camera, you'll be ready to use it properly. And not get lost in all the settings that you don't even know composition yet, for example. So.
All right, so I have Mark III and some L lenses. Gear is important because there's certain scenarios like shooting at night. You can't shoot with your phone at night. Certain scenarios to shoot, but as a photographer, learning to shoot, I don't think gear is as important because you always have a phone. You know, it's so convenient, and you can always start learning from there. So as a beginning photographer, it's good to start organically and pace yourself. You know, you're not just gonna go to any store and just cop a 5D and just start your day. So I mean, craft. The gear for me has helped me with my craft, but I think my vision and my consistency is what is able to portray whatever you see on Instagram.
I shoot with a Canon 5D Mark III, and my favorite lens pretty much right now is a 50 millimeter 1.4 that I use most of the time, if not 35. But the importance of gear to me, I really don't feel that gear is that important. I do really feel as though like training your eye is probably like your greatest tool when it comes to photography, is your eyes, making sure that you actually can see something and compose it properly, make sure it has the right exposure, and and go so on and so forth from there. I previously shot with a Canon 7D, and it just got to a certain point where my talent outgrew the camera, and I feel as though everyone should just go. It should be like a progression kind of thing. Like you start off small, and then you just kind of, once you feel as though like the iPhone's not giving you what you want anymore, like switch off, get a DSLR. And if this entry level DSLR is not doing a job for you anymore, just go on to the next thing. I just feels like just a natural progression as opposed to just going from zero to like a Hasselblad or something like that. Just just fall back a little bit, take your time.
I've used a couple of different cameras, but recently most of my work has been shot with the new Leica MP Type 240. Love the mirrorless cameras. Very lightweight, and I'm able to move freely when I'm out shooting with it. And the picture quality is pretty much the best I've ever had. The best part about using the Leica was when you import your photos on Lightroom, most cameras, the raw file goes flat. And the Leica, it didn't change. It stayed the way I had shot it, and that was the best part about it. And yeah, I mean, gear is useful sometimes, but don't force yourself into it too much. You could, like most of the cameras out right now, they do everything every other camera does. So, it's just training your eye and just be open-minded when you're out shooting. Don't
your main camera was the Fuji X-T1, right?
Before Leica,
and
yes.
like that one body plus lens it's not even like $1,500, I think $1,400.
The Fuji is great because it's very light too. Like the best thing about mirrorless cameras is you can walk around freely. That's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not intimidating when I'm out shooting people. Like when I pick the camera up, I'm completely invisible. They don't even notice I'm there. I take my shot and I keep it moving. And as to when I use my DSLRs, they see this big camera come up, and all of a sudden they start freezing, and they're like, "Oh man, what's going on?" But mirrorless, like it's helped me a lot travel around New York City and anywhere else.
My first camera was like a Rebel. What is it, a T3i?
I had that too. What? Awesome.
But I know people are killing it on iPhone. Sorry, I know people who are doing a lot of great work on iPhone. So much props to those people because I don't think I could replicate that at all. But right now, I easily graduated to a Mark III, but I was using a Mark II for I would say 80% of my photography career. My go-to lens is a 50-1.2, but I started off with a 50-1.4, and now that's just my setup right now, pretty much a Mark III and a 50-1.2. I just recently started using, I tested out a Leica, an M9 with a 1.0. Yeah, that's what I want. 0.95, sorry, 0.95. I gotta be specific on that. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I agree with. I think everybody understands that. Your best utility, your best tool is just your vision and what you got in your hand. So don't go crazy spending money on stuff that you don't even know how to work it yet. So perfect your craft before you start working on, spending money.
I use a Canon 60 and I have a 5D Mark III, so it depends on. I like the 60 just because of the the Wi-Fi, because I like to try to post real time. And 5D Mark III is great. Go-to lens 24. Yeah, I don't know, but you can't knock the iPhones, man, or smartphones in general. I feel like a lot of my mobile photography does just as well as all my other DSLR shots. So it's all about perspective.
Cool. Let's move on to filters. So Visco, Snapseed, Instagram now with the new version has a lot new filters as well. Do you use it? How much do you use filters? What do you think about the hashtag no filters?
So I think I've moved through a lot of different phases in terms of editing in my career. When I shoot with iPhone, I actually have a separate account that's all iPhone shots. It's called Secret Street, and that's all iPhone and just Visco edits. And that's a really fun kind of like the limitations force me to do different type of work, which I really, really like. When I shoot with my my Sony or when I was shooting Nikon, it would be all Lightroom on my computer. Again, I would use a lot of VSCO presets that you can get from, I think, just their website, right? They even have some, like a free pack now that you can get started with.
The Zero.
Yeah, pack 00. You can just download it, it's free. I usually start with one of their tones or presets, and then I kind of like bend it in whatever direction I want. Like maybe this one has too much grain, I'll pull the grain back down. Like maybe I want a little more contrast, I'll put the contrast up. So I like to start with these film-like tones and then push them in the directions that I find are my personal taste. And then sometimes I'll take something into Photoshop if I need to move something around or like take some noise out or something like that. So, but mainly Lightroom and VSCO.
I mainly use Lightroom, and on my iPhone I use Snapseed, and I love what Instagram did with their new updates, because I always, no matter what, right before I post, I just tweak a few things using the Instagram app, and yeah, I think it's great.
I think no filter is cool, but when you put a filters where you sort of like show your creativity, it's like you get to spice up the picture a little bit and add your own touch to it. Back in my mobile photography days, I used to use Snapseed and VSCO. I just try different filters, just get a different feel for different images. Nowadays I use Lightroom, and usually I do my own presets, but any VSCO pack is good nowadays. It works for anything. It all depends on what you like. And I like to keep it organically. Try to keep the colors as I see them. But other people like to spice them up and add different colors. But I like to put filters on my pictures. It's cool.
I like to use Lightroom to edit. I pretty much do most of my tweaking in there, like similar to Dave. Sometimes I'll use a VSCO preset, and I'll just tweak everything to my liking and my preference. Photoshop for any like detailed stuff that I want to do. If I want to remove somebody who's photobombing somebody else, I could do that. Also, as far as mobile, I use VSCO, Snapseed, and there's another app that I just started downloading and using is Nlight. It's a really cool app. It's almost like a Lightroom for your phone. Like you can really do a lot of creative stuff using that app. I think it's like $4, but it's pretty dope. As far as no filter goes, it was cool for a while. I think when Instagram first started, you kind of said no filter on certain photos, but now it's like you gotta do something to the photos. Don't we want to add a little something to make it look not like you just didn't care. You know what I mean?
I use the in-camera processing for Instagram a lot, most of the times. But as far as filters, I have a couple presets that I've made on Lightroom that I use for different kind of photos that I shoot, like whether it's street or fashion. I try to keep my fashion photos pretty clean and crisp. But yeah, like when I shoot, I try to get the shot the way I see it with all the colors and all the shadows or whatever it is, so I don't really have to tweak it as much, but slight adjustments here and there in Lightroom, but that's about it.
Well, now that I know all your secrets,
He knows.
I'm not sharing mine. Sorry, guys. No, I'm a big VSCO fan. I used it heavily in my early times, but then eventually what happened was you start building your own type of style, and I created my own probably presets, if anything like that. But I try to keep it as, like Gio like to say, like organic, if anything. But I love colors. I like them to pop. I love to keep it as as human-like as possible, if you're gonna say. I try not to steer away from too much of distraction from I guess too crazy. But it works for some people. It just doesn't work for me. I look at it, I'm just like, no, pull back a little bit. But VSCO definitely would be one of my favorite filters that I would always fall back on. But other than that, I definitely use Lightroom too. Snapseed's iPhone and VSCO too on iPhone too, or just any mobile photography.
Two more questions, and then we open for question to the crowd. First, tell me about future projects or something that you're working right now that is exciting or that you want to do. That you're thinking about it,
Fine, I'll go first. I don't really have a lot of projects ahead. I have a couple of campaigns going on, but can't share that right now. But other than that, I would like to essentially work with like nice brands or campaigns for like a lot of giving back type of concept where, humanitarian work or just something to give back to the schools or just third world parties, third world countries, if anything. But ideally, if that realm is something that I want to like kind of concentrate on moving forward.
I think someone sees that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry, I don't mean to be difficult. It's just hard to lean in. Sit up straight. So this month I'm actually working with Canon, which is like one of a big dream of mine. I've been using Canon products, from the beginning. So I'm going to be teaching on travel photography. So I'm really excited and nervous about that. It's going to be 12 episodes long. So I just, as you can see with our bloopers, everybody gets nervous. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. And yeah, just looking forward. As a freelance photographer, you never know what job you're going to end up working on. It's a constant hustle, no matter what. It's not easy. I also am unsure of myself sometimes, and you have good days, you have bad days. It's just a constant hustle, and you have to work. If you want to do this, you really have to put the time and effort to make it known what you want to do and what you want to work on. So yeah, that's what I will be doing this month.
I think the thing that I'm most excited for is our Street Dreams issue 7 in San Francisco on the 20th of September. We're gonna have a gallery and a block party, and a lot of these people here are deeply involved in that. And it's like 20 Christmases. I can't wait. I don't think I can sleep until we're out there, all together. So if anybody out there online is gonna be there, I'll see you there.
I have a couple campaigns coming up right now, which I can't talk about, but I recently did a really fun interview with a GoPro. They shot me with their new 360 stereo rig, which is pretty awesome because when you see the interview, you could literally move your phone around so you could get everything around me. So if I'm pointing, say towards Empire State Building, you could just turn your phone and you could actually take a full look at the Empire State Building and a whole bunch of different things that we did in New York. And you guys might be able to see that as soon as the 10th of this month. So I'll post a link on all of my social feeds so you can check that out soon.
Cool. Upcoming projects. Well, after this, Gio and I were heading to Philly to cover Made in America, the festival. So that's going to be pretty tight. I'm gonna see Beyonce. I'm part of the Beehive. But next week there's soon's gonna be Fashion Week. If you guys know me, I shoot a lot of fashion photography, so I'm gonna be going to shows every day of the week. And I'm also working on a project with Adidas. We're gonna have a gallery show with a few photographers. That's gonna be debuting their Tubular X sneaker, so that should be fun. It's on 9/11. I'll probably post it on my gram so you guys can see it come through if you guys want. And I'm working on my first solo gallery right now, so this is in the creative mode. So if you don't see me for a long time, it's because I'm in the lab working on some stuff.
I also got some projects that I'm undergoing right now that I can't disclose, but it's gonna be pretty fun. I'm excited for San Francisco. First time in the West Coast. Get to see a lot of talent, meet people for the first time. I would like to work with Canon, so Canon was good. And other than that, I'm just keep working, just trying to push Street Dreams forward and just keep connected with people.
Cool. Last question for me. This is actually a question also for the people online. I'm currently working on season 2 through the lens. We're pitching and putting together names, for photographers for season 2, and it's gonna be outside New York City. So who do you suggest? Give me some names, and Erwin, write it down.
I would love to see. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, originally, and two of my favorite photographers there are Ashley McKinney and Brad Romano. I think that they would just be amazing.
Yeah, they're like a powerhouse. So I think that they'd be a really good option, and they know the city like the back of their hand, and I think that'd be a really great feature.
I think there's this guy from Thailand named Rockhound. He's pretty dope. He's an iPhone photographer, so his stuff is pretty neat. Very black and white, a lot of scale, and probably Nicola from San Francisco. Pretty good dude. He's traveling right now, but they have a lot of variety of everything: symmetry, portraits. So he'd be a pretty good choice.
Okay, I'll go. If you're going to Miami, I think you should definitely look into my friend Brian Latter and New Team. Brian actually is the only one that I know until today has shot everything with iPhone on his feed. So you should check him out. He's a pretty talented dude.
If you guys go to, I believe she's in LA. We follow like Lee Minium. She's pretty dope. Like her whole aesthetic is like some of the things I've seen is like straight fantasy. Like it's not even unreal. So like she's really dope.
I got several, but the one that for me stands out is this guy from Puerto Rico. His name is Isaac Reyes. And I know you guys are more involved into still photography, but he's a great videographer. Not only he does great like stills, but his videos are amazing. So he goes on by Sakography, S-A-K-O Graphy, I guess. Sakography, I guess you could say it, but in Spanish it would be Sakography. So check him out. He's definitely, he's building up his stuff. He's worked with a lot of brands, but I think if you want to work more on a video aspect, he would be the man that I would definitely keep in mind.
I just came back from Chicago, and Swopes and Trash Hand, I think they're great. Definitely, somebody you'd like to consider and look into. They do a lot of street photography, and Swopes does a lot of really cool edits. So I really enjoy their work.
Okay, so we're about to open for question from the crowd. Give the mic. So guys, don't be shy, please. You got.
Oh, actually, we have Michelle from NYIP.
Oh, yeah.
She's gonna ask a question on behalf of one of the students. So she's right up here.
Hi.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm representing a lot of students from NYIP, and a ton of those, individuals are kind of abandoning all these careers that they've maybe had in the past to just chase their dream of photography, and that can definitely be scary for them. And there's a lot of anxiety there. So for those of you who have kind of done that yourselves and taken that leap, we want you to tell them how that's maybe affected your mentality as an artist.
So I was working in finance. I worked at J.P. Morgan for 3 years, and photography was, purely on the side. Everything that I enjoyed, I would just, I would dedicate all my free time with photography. Once I started meeting new clients and, booking jobs, that's when, and I started getting overwhelmed. That's when I started to feel like, all right, I think it's time to move forward with my dream. Even though I was working in finance, I didn't just quit my job and with nothing at hand. I did have a few clients that I worked with, and I just felt at that time I wasn't giving my all into photography, and I don't have too many responsibilities other than myself. So I figured, why not just try it? Worst case scenario, I could always go back, and yeah, give it a shot. If you're gonna take a bet on somebody, it should be yourself. So.
I think that one of the things that has changed about photography, and especially as photography for a career, it's not just about making images anymore. It's really about, Instagram is a communications tool. So a lot of the reason that we're all able to do, get campaigns and get, a lot of paid work and stuff like that, it's because we have our own distribution channels, right? So if you're trying to make a career out of photography, if you think about who a client is going to hire, are they going to hire, if there's two people who have equivalent skill, for the sake of conversation, and one of them has 100,000 followers, the client is going to pick the person that has that network built in. When I first started in photography, it was a very solitary kind of pursuit for me. Like I would just go out and do street photography, listen to music, and now it's a really like community pursuit for me. Like all of these guys, you know, I consider them some of my best friends now, just because we're all in it together and we all try to help each other out, and it's so much more than just making an image now. It's like, how do you tell a story? Like you have to be a copywriter, you know, you have to be you have to be a statistician. You have to really understand that it's such a bigger system, and it's more like, you know, having a big Instagram account is more like running your own subscription magazine than it is about, you know, trying to sell your work to a magazine. So it's really about using it as your distribution channel and telling your story. And that's my biggest piece of advice to an aspiring photographer. I don't think it's enough anymore to just make good work. Like you have to have it seen. And social media is probably the best tool an individual could have to get their work seen by other people.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think that you're more than just a photographer taking a photo taker. You're pretty much a creative director at that point, and you pretty much got to continue to understand that as technology changes, as you know, as the world of photography changes, you kind of have to adapt to that. And one of the biggest things I tell people is that don't see yourself as just one particular style. Just, you know, think of yourself as a brand. How do you sell yourself? How do you pitch yourself? How do you kind of make sure that whoever you're trying to get a gig or trying to pursue a career of, whether it's musician, whether you're a painter, you gotta understand that if you're passionate about it, you're determined to want to fulfill that passion and become a full-time career. There's got a lot of work. 90% leg work, 10% whatever your craft is. I mean, it's pretty much hustle, network, socialize, meet people as much as you can. And that's the only way you're pretty much going to understand the way the business of photography is, and as well as how much you really feel passionate about continuing that field.
I'm all for the people that like to chase their dreams, but I think is the way you go about it. You got to be smart about it before you make that move. The thing about photography and social media, you can post at any time, and photography is not a 9 to 5. You can shoot whenever. I think you got to build yourself first before you make any drastic move, because the last thing you want to do is regret what you have. So the thing about me, like I got a degree for criminal justice. I was on my route to be a cop. You know, I ended up working for Nike. So I gave myself options. You know, I didn't narrow myself to be only a photographer, because like they said, it's not only about creating images. It's much more than that. So the thing about me, I built myself up. You know, I constantly started shooting and growing and interacting with people. And the thing with Street Dreams, it happened organically. So, you know, it's also about surrounding yourself with the right people too. So you got to really, really think about the next move you're going to do, because that might determine the rest of your future.
When it comes to, I guess, pursuing your dreams of photography versus going the traditional 9 to 5 route, I always tell people to be prepared to struggle. That's the biggest thing, is be prepared to be hungry, be prepared to not know when your next check's gonna come, because that's what's ultimately gonna deter you from pursuing it or continuing whatever like career path you had before. Me coming from a 9 to 5 background, I got to a point where I was like, do I stay here or do I do this full time? And I was blessed because they made a decision for me, because I got fired because I skipped going to work for a gig. So I mean, like, that ultimately was to me telling me, like, the universe was telling me, like, all right, you have to go this route. And not for nothing, it was very, very difficult. But if you instill it in yourself that you know that this is not going to be a sweet path, then you'll be prepared for those kind of days. And I moved out to Harlem 2 years ago. I didn't have a job. Freelancing, I didn't have any steady clientele, but I was just riding my bike as a messenger up and down Manhattan, just delivering packages and food just to pay bills. And it was something that I hated, but it was something that I was prepared to do mentally. So I feel as though if you can prepare yourself mentally to not have a steady income, and you're comfortable about eating ramen noodles every night, like, then do it. Like, and I also say do it as young as you can. You know what I mean? Because there's like a lot of talented young photographers out there killing the game right now. You know what I mean? And they have huge social followings, which gives them a one-up as well. So I also do say like take care of your social following because that's very important, while also maintaining your craft.
Being social and being and networking and being around the community has helped me a lot with my success of being a photographer. Because when I first started around in 2007, Instagram was not out, and it was really hard to get in contact with like-minded people and contact with people in the industry. But once I started with Instagram, it was so easy to find all these people, and they have their own network. So it's like who you know is going to put you where you want to be. So, just like when I first started, it was hard because I didn't know too many people. It was always a hustle to find clients, and you're doing some jobs only because you want to pay bills. But once you're out there and once you put out your work, which speaks for itself, clients come to you because that's what's happening now. Once you're out there once the stage is set, it's the ball's in your hand. That's it. Just ball and do the best you can. But being social, going out to events and networking is one of the biggest thing to do if you're going to become a photographer.
Questions? Don't be shy. I know you want to ask questions. I know you have it.
Yes, we finally have a winner.
So, I think how much would it be in this case network, and how much would it be actually working, taking the pictures, post production, and so on? How much would you balance that nowadays?
I would say networking about 90% of the time. That's the biggest thing you'll do. Without your network, anything you do is pretty much invalid, because you could take the best photos you want. You could be the best photographer, but if you don't know anyone, or if your work is not out there, nobody's going to know anything about you. So being out there all the time and putting your work out there for the right people to see is more important than creating that work. So yeah, I would say 80% of the time networking, the rest just working on your craft.
Who does not agree with that?
I definitely feel that networking is probably way more than your craft. The percentages might be a little bit different from mine. I might say 75-25. But because I always tell people who want to pursue photography in this new day and age when social is so important, I tell them you have to hustle online and offline. Yeah. I'm a person who likes to go out a lot. I always down to turn up. I'm always down to go to events and meet people. But I always make time to work as well and work on getting better at what I do, because every day I want to always become better. So I would say you have to play both fields. But like Neil said, networking is a huge part of that, because who you shake hands with, who you see in the street, is who's going to remember you when that job comes on their table. We need a photographer for this thing. This guy is a really good photographer, has a great portfolio, amazing. But this guy that I met at a party was so cool. I want to go and work with him because he's such a chill person. And like I said, it's about people liking you, really, because people liking you is very, very important. A lot of photographers can be very recluse sometimes. They're very to themselves, introverted personalities. But if I'm working on a campaign and I actually like your personality, I'm always going to have you come back. So networking is a huge, huge part.
To me, I think it's a mix of both. I think we really got to take in consideration the word social from social media, because I'm very quiet, I'm very low key. But through Street Dreams and through meets, I got to meet very influential people. So I think being consistent on your craft and just always highlighting your work is good, but also the people you get to meet, also just keeping in touch and just building your portfolio. So it's good to be social.
You want to add anything?
I think the percentages are
it's pretty much there.
I would say, just real quick, just an example. So let's say that, I'm out at some event and I meet somebody and they end up following me on Instagram. So let's say that person's an art buyer at some agency or something like that. It's not necessarily that one meeting now that will make a difference, but it's that continued and constant presence in their life by the fact that they're subscribed to my work. so that when a gig does come along, they're like, oh, you know who would be great for this? Like, and then they can show, right on their phone. And I think that that's what social media has done for networking. It's made those fleeting moments can turn into like a permanent relationship, and permanent relationships, in any industry, your success depends on your ability to have, sustainable and worthwhile relationships with the people that are making decisions. So I think that in-person networking with that added layer of social media networking allows you to have a constant presence and get in front of the people that are making those kinds of decisions for awarding gigs and stuff like that. So I wouldn't give it a percentage, but I would just say that it's like if a tree falls in the forest kind of thing. You could take the best picture that's ever been taken in the world. If nobody sees it, you're not going to get work. So.
Yeah, and to add to that, I've learned that opportunities are everywhere. But if you're home, if you're not doing nothing and just showcasing your stuff on your little phone or just keeping it to yourself, you're not going to take advantage of those opportunities if somebody else will.
Questions? Where's the mic?
All right. Really appreciate hearing your guys' perspectives on kind of how the industry is right now. I've been shooting for about 10 years and seen how it's changed too, and I'd love to get your perspective on what's next. Instagram changed things so much, but where do we go from here? Like, where's the confluence going between traditional photography, Instagram photography, and just how we get jobs, how kids learn photography, become photographers? It seems like things are changing so fast, and it'd be really cool to hear where you guys think it's going to go.
So I think no matter what the app is, before Instagram, it was something else, and before that it was something else, and all the way back to the beginning of photography, really. What matters is that since a lot of us have these devices that have cameras and great screens to display, the real change is that the distribution networks have become decentralized. So it's not like we're all submitting to like the New York Times, like desperate to get a spot. It's now that we can build our own distribution networks, and it's really what it is it's peer-to-peer sharing of content. So like I can put something out and everybody in this room can see it without me going through a third party. And that's really the most fundamental change in the photography industry. So moving forward, it's the same, right? So what is the most efficient way to share visual information between two people? Will it be Instagram? I mean, for now it is that's the biggest one. But the next thing is something that hasn't come out yet, but it will. I am confident that it will follow that same pattern of like what is the best, most efficient, and most fun way to distribute your work to your peers. So that's my 2 cents.
I mean, if you're going on a business aspect as far as like monetary wise, then I think that's changing everything. I mean, I think that I've come across a lot of traditional photographers that don't know how to rate anymore their fees because their brands now want to concentrate more on social media platforms. So that's, I think, to me is the biggest struggle when it comes to trying to find out or scale an amount or a budget for something that is still unknown. The social media platforms is still brand new, that a lot of old, people who've been in the business for so long have a different type of way of budgeting, a different type of way of rating their fees. Now with this new wave, there's definitely a new change and aspect, and I think that's where you pretty much have to find out what exactly you feel like you're worth. What exactly can you provide? How much can you provide? How much of your time you're willing to do that? Again, I think this is still a very new business for a lot of brands and clients to understand and rate that. But there's always a way to, for me at least, I always go on an aspect of like, okay, what's your budget? I'll tell you what I can do, and let's see if we can come to a medium as far as like on a money-wise scale.
Also, virtual reality, VR, I think is the next wave. So, I really do.
I kind of like Snapchat. Snapchat, I feel, is a cool way to like get more of a personality out of who you are as well, and you can use that as a tool not only for your Snapchat but for yourself as a photographer and how you brand yourself. Because I think it doesn't really matter what social media platform it is. It's about branding yourself as a person and who you are and what you want to do with it. You can be a photographer, musician. Like everyone has their own like social media platform that appeals to who they are. So I feel as though if you're able to grasp who you are as a brand, then you're able to go on whatever new platform comes. You'll be able to kill it.
I honestly think that technology is going to keep evolving, and we just got to adapt. Right now we have Instagram just updated. We pull full crop photos and direct messaging. So I guess something in the future might something replicate some type of physical interaction. So maybe Insta Snap or something like that. So just basically just get in touch with the people that you follow. So so it's just apps are gonna keep coming out. It's just all about adapting, and traditional photographers now gotta go to social media, and Instagrams become photographers. It's all an evolution.
Good. Okay, we have time for 2 more questions from the crowd, and then we move to the web. Crowd? Everybody's shy? Okay, we got one there.
We're not that interesting.
Hey guys, one, thank you all for being here. It's really inspirational. I love hearing what you guys have to say. I've recently seen the value of utilizing Instagram to expand my professional network, and I try my hardest to post regularly. It's only recently that I've started posting more regularly, and I know the numbers don't matter too much, but one, I think I'd just like to get some advice from you guys as far as how to, increase that following. Not so. I'm not looking for like 20,000 followers, but to get away from that embarrassing number of 300.
I would say if I had to distill it down to one word, which I probably should in the interest of time, consistency. So that means a lot of things. Consistency in what story are you telling? What kind of images are you putting up? What kind of tone are you setting? People who follow you, the reason you subscribe to anything is because you have a certain expectation. So consistency in tone, consistency in timing. Like you should be posting as regularly as possible. You don't want to hit somebody with 5 pictures in a row and then go silent for a week, because then they're going to be they're either going to immediately unfollow you for flooding their feed, or the next time, if you haven't posted in a week and then all of a sudden you post 5 shots, they're like, why am I even following this person? I don't even remember who they are. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, if you can just be a constant, dependable source of good content, there's just no way to fail with that. So.
Also, I would say FaceTime. Like, you follow certain people on Instagram, but you should make the time to go out to Instameets and social events where you meet people, it's easier for you to find other people, and it's easier for people to find you if you're out there meeting people. Instagram, I'm sure you meet a lot of people on Instagram, but going to these community gatherings is also more important. It also helps build your following, because now you get to meet everyone in person instead of just liking our photos online, That helps a lot too.
I usually have coffee meets all the time. It works a lot. So if you see somebody that you admire, or even doesn't matter how many numbers you have or how much their following is, to tell you the truth, if somebody is really involved in the community and wants to help you grow or just meet people, if they hesitate on just meeting you for a coffee or a tea, then it's not worth that just takes the first step of just taking initiative on wanting to pursue, or just get to know somebody. I've had plenty of people that hit me up and be like, Toots, I would love to follow you around and stuff like that. I'm like, look, listen, before we go all that, how about we get to know each other a little bit? I'll ask you on a date. Let's go, get a coffee, and let's see if we have a good connection, a nice chemistry, and then you go from there. That's how you build friendships, pretty much. And that's how you kind of help not only yourself grow, you're helping somebody else, become a little bit more, involved on your lifestyle or cater to them as far as your personality. That's all. I think for me, face to face is very important.
One also bit of advice I'd give is, as far as being on social media, is to actually be social on social media. You'd be surprised how many people post stuff and don't even comment back to people who've taken the time out to write certain things to them. You know what I mean? Like, you just see like all these comments just lingering there and just no kind of interaction whatsoever. It's like, it's important to take the time out to respond to people that's taking the time out to say something back to you. That's all it is. And now you become somewhat more trustworthy to them because they see you as being a real person.
Just to add to that real quick, that's a really great point. And one of the questions I get asked, in my role in advertising a lot is, what are the best practices for social media? And what he just said is exactly it. Like, we have social standards and rules that we all go by. If you are walking by me in the street and you say hi, I acknowledge that. Let's picture that your feed is a gallery. If I'm standing next to my work in a gallery and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, I like that image," I don't have to write an essay back, but I should acknowledge that somebody had said something to me because we have these social practices in place already. It's called social media because it's the same thing. So, you don't need to rewrite the rules of social interaction. It's just a new medium for social interaction. So that's really good advice.
And I would say the key word is consistency. Just keep posting on the regular. I know sometimes I'm very confident. I drop like 5 images in a row, or I just drop one every other day. But it's all about how consistent you are. And I'm not too big on hashtags, but hashtags do help. Like Street Dreams Mag, like me and Dave always browsing through there looking for new talent to showcase in the mag. So the certain hashtags are very important. I wouldn't go hashtagging son, fun, girl, like none of that stuff. Just main hashtags.
Last question from the crowd. Who wants to be the last one? Where's the mic? Okay.
So much appreciation for being up there, but I'm gonna take it to like a different direction. So my hobby has turned into an obsession, and I'm a father. I have boys, and one of my sons loves taking pictures now. And I always felt like I only started by like 3-4 years ago, so I felt like it was late in the game. But for him, he's at a ripe age. He's very young. He can pick it up and he can take it where else. How do I coach him or nurture him to do it and not burn him out at the same time? Like what path? Like what should I do in terms of just making sure that he's a solid photographer and he's doing it because he loves it and not because his daddy is telling him to do it. So. That's my question.
I think Jose is the only one here that can.
First off, it's never too late. Never too late.
That's true.
You can still do it, and you can go out with your son and have fun with it. Don't put too much pressure. Just go explore, see new things. There's always something new to see, and no pressure. Just have fun, and I'm sure that will have him grow within his photography career. And if he wants to continue to do it, that would be great. But yeah, no pressure and just have fun.
I mean, I think you already said, he's already interested in it, right? And that to me is you just need to be there for him. If you need to, someday he needs money, to buy a camera or something like that. Seriously, you don't need to be like, you're going to that photography class I signed you up for, It's not like that. Just he's going to move naturally in that direction. And you just got to be there when it gets tough, So I think that just encouragement is the best gift you could give somebody. So.
Yeah, I think as a parent, just full support on whatever he does, whatever ambition he has, whatever, you can put in your 2 cents, but ultimately it's his decision whether or not he wants to continue or not. It could be a stage, it could be something that he can be good at or great at, but if anybody wants something passionately, you're gonna go for it regardless what your parents say or regardless what your friends say. Peer pressure is a known and when you're young, but I think ultimately looking up, look Ryan. Ryan's 16 years old. He picked up a camera and he was just excellent at it. And some people have that craft, but if you're not supporting him or you're not encouraging him to pursue that, they're gonna do it regardless. Just as a parent, just pretty much just know that you want to make sure he succeeds or your son succeeds, and you're going to try your best to help him out that. And that's pretty much it.
I don't have any kids, but for me, whenever something stops being fun and starts feeling more like work, I don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? So I would just say always keep things refreshing, keep it cool, and have fun with it.
When I got into photography, I didn't have anyone to tell me what I was doing. So the reason I started doing it because it was fun to me, and that's one thing you should never forget. Like, you're doing this because you love doing this and you're having fun with it. So whatever he's doing right now, just let him, just let him enjoy photography. That's the best thing, because he'll know when it's getting too overwhelming for him. He'll probably stop and take a break. I do that every now and then. Like for the last 2 weeks, I didn't shoot, just wanted to refresh and get back into my flow again. So as long as he's having fun, just keep encouraging him to keep doing that. That should be it.
We're good? Okay, Erwin, it's your time. How many haters?
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Erwin Suba. I'm the managing editor and social media manager for ADORAMA NYC. We're going to start taking questions from our live stream audience. The first one is actually not a question, more like an invitation from Chris Omania, saying you guys are invited to take some street photos in his country of Costa Rica, the most beautiful country in Central America.
All right, we're out.
All right.
Yeah,
So
leaving.
when you guys go, just hit up Chris Omania. Anyway, next up is Courtney Bush. The question is for everybody. With there being so many, quote, photographers, end quote, how do you keep what you shoot fresh and different?
Okay, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
No.
All right. That's a good question because I switch up what I shoot. My full style is always switched every 2-3 weeks, or say every 3-4 months. Like I'll be shooting portraits, or I'll shoot lifestyle or fashion. So just like that, I keep myself interested. Every time I feel like I'm bored of something, I'll switch up to something different. And because I'm curious about photography. I wanna like experiment with different things. So I mean, sometimes you hit a roadblock, but that's the fun of photography, right? You want to try and make something different, try and create something different, and sometimes that works. So.
Yeah, one thing that I like to do, back to this idea of Instagram being like, a great input and place for output, and kind of this back and forth is, if I'm kind of feeling uninspired or I feel like I'm not moving in any direction, I'll just ask, say, who's out there right now that you think is like really, killing it, or who's really underrated right now, just to get some new input, so that I can kind of internalize new ways of doing photography. And, photography is like a cumulative building craft. Like we all inspire and go off of each other, and it's not copying, it's being inspired and progressing, and it's that community aspect again. So I think that like, maybe you're putting the camera down for a second, and even just going to, there's other ways to do it too, like going to a bookstore and taking out an old like Helmut Newton book or something like that, and I'm like, opens my mind to all sorts of new stuff. So if the output is becoming exhausting, maybe switch up your sources of input, whether through the internet or through other pursuits.
I usually do like passion projects. I get constantly bored with my stuff, and what I usually do is I'll pick a day or whatever day I am, and I'll just shoot black and white, or I'll just shoot abstract, or I'll just shoot an object in 5 different angles in 5 different locations. And eventually what you do is you're kind of getting out the box of what you're consistently doing at that particular time, and then you build a new scale of composition, a new type of area of seeing something that you've never seen before. And you build from that. You kind of like, you got to keep your mind kind of refreshed constantly. Whatever you do, you can't be eating McDonald's every day and you expect that you're going to be healthy. It's like, it's the same thing with shooting with portraits. Like, I'm a big portraits fan, but I can't shoot face to face. You're going to turn that person, you're going to put them in a different angle, you're going to shoot them from above or whatever it is. But you always got to test that. You always got to kind of see how I don't think everything is limitless, like limit has a limit. I just feel like it's limitless at that point. Just go beyond the box and just do it for fun. Don't do it because you feel like it's gonna get a lot of likes or you feel it's gonna get good engagement. It just brings a new, refreshing feel to the mind.
For me, my life pretty much dictates my art. So when it comes to like, my everyday living, or you can tell from my gram, it's all things that's like right in front of me at the time. So what I do is like, I just make sure I open myself up to new experiences, whatever they are, whether it's I go and travel, whether it's an event I go to or something like that. Whatever you see on my feed is pretty much what I'm experiencing at a certain point in time of my life. So I just don't like stagnation. So if I'm like in New York for too long, I gotta find a way to get out of New York and shoot something else. It's just all about me experiencing, and what I'm capturing through these experiences is how I usually stay refreshed on what I shoot and what I post.
I like to get creative sometimes. Instead of commuting, I like walking. Sometimes I look up, I look around, go through Instagram, and there's certain shots that I see, and you sort of like sometimes go to the same places and try a different outlook. Like Fulton Station. What if there was a puddle, or what if you reflected off the glass? Always try to have an alternative. And I like symmetry, so there's symmetry all around New York. So I always feel like there's something new to shoot. Like the city's getting smaller every day with photography, but I always try to find new ways. And whenever I feel like, in a roadblock, I always like to travel. I like to go to Toronto, Paris, anywhere, even to Boston. You see different things. So.
All right, thanks, guys. Second question is from Rico Albarracin. It's for everybody. How long did it take to find your look or distinctive style of photography?
I think it's a constant growth. I think, you evolve as an artist, and you'll never have one specific style as, you continue to shoot. As long as you keep shooting and you keep trying new things, your style will grow and change. That's how you keep everything fresh and exciting. So I don't think I have a particular style. I just always try to grow as an artist.
I don't even know what my style is, honestly. It's like every day I'm just trying to create something new and something different. I try not to stick to the same thing too much, but I would say as far as finding a particular style, I think you should just find more so things that you like to shoot, and that's kind of what's going to dictate your style, I feel. But yeah, to this day, I don't think I have a particular style. I'm still looking, honestly. You guys let me know if I find it.
I totally agree with Natalie and Pierre. I've noticed that my pictures and the way I've edited has changed a lot from where I first started, and I still keep changing every day, because as an artist, that's what you do. You're growing, you're trying to experiment with different things. So yeah, I don't necessarily think I have a style, but everyday growth is very important for me.
I like people, so I like to shoot people. Not in that way, but I like to take pictures of them. Oh man. But I, as for me, like depending on like style, I think that keeps me kind of motivated, because not every other person is the same. So you always see a lot of differences between people when you shoot people. There's like different features. So as far as style, I mean, yeah, I like people being involved somehow. I get bored very easily, because once you find a particular area and a particular person that you shot that, you kind of be like, well, I can't shoot here no more, or I can't shoot the same type of person with the same beard. It's like, so you kind of like progress off of that. It's a ever like evolving thing. It's never gonna be. You're gonna have a phase. It's gonna be like a nice little. It could be 1 week, or it could be 10 weeks, so it could be like a whole year of what you're doing, but eventually you're gonna grow out of it. If you're that creative and your mind wants to continue to grow, you're gonna get out of that style regardless, and just find what's new and what's better for you.
Steven Seller asked, which photo that you published received the biggest reaction that you didn't expect? Either more reaction than expected or less reaction than expected?
So I think this was about a year ago at, or maybe even less, but it was a worldwide Insta meet I hosted with my friend Jose Silva, JN Silva on Instagram. And there we were at some park. I think it was like Randall's Island.
No, Roosevelt Island.
Roosevelt Island, yeah. Yeah, so you're in this picture too. But I had there's this huge staircase and I had everybody sit in like a heart. You know what I mean? Like in the middle. And like I thought it was like the lamest idea I've ever had in my entire life. I swear, I was like, this is so dumb. Like I can't.
Was it? I was like all for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
She's sitting right in the front. She's like the point of the heart. And so I put it up just as like a nice group shot, so people could see that we're all out here shooting, having fun together. And to this day, it's my most liked Instagram photo on my entire feed. So every time if I go to like Econo Square, it's like a statistics site, and it shows your like number one photo. It's like 10,000 likes on this photo that I thought was like a throwaway, and that kind of like makes you lose faith in the whole numbers system anyway. So it's actually a good point. Like you shouldn't judge the quality of your work on the amount of engagement, because first of all there's too many factors. There might be a server down in California. It's like, oh man, this picture sucks. No, it's just like the time of day was weird. Everybody's eating lunch or something like that. So that picture and that experience reminded me that you can't give too much weight to the numbers.
For me, it's every picture. I don't know what to expect every time I post something. It's really inconsistent for me. I don't know if it'll do good. It could be a simple, minimal stuff and it'll do great, or it could be, I think it's gonna be the bomb. I got a cityscape. I got like light rays coming. I got like, some guy in the background doing some stuff, and I get like half of what I expected. I was like, you know what? I give up. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just at this point.
I think for me, that pigeon shot you see right there was the most controversial one. It was just crazy how it happened. This is a guy named Larry in Washington Square Park who he always attracts birds and whatnot. And one day I was shooting with my friend Nick Galando. He has a pair of SBs. Those SBs are very rare, and they cost a lot of money for some reason. So we was just walking around. Shout out to Jeff Staple too. He reached out to me too. We did a print run, and it sold out very quickly. I still get DMs about, can I buy the print? When are you gonna print some more? But yeah, no pigeons were hurt. No food was involved. But it was a very controversial shot. It's one of my favorite shots too, because when I shot it, I shot probably 40 images, just continuous shooting, and I didn't think much of it. So I went home, I didn't even edit till like 3 days later. And then I saw the image and I edited it and I put it on Instagram, and people just went crazy because not only because of the shoe, is very rare, but the shot. People thought it's Photoshop, but it's one of my favorite shots to this day.
I honestly never know how good a photo's gonna do. There's photos that I edit in literally like 2 minutes and I post, and they go crazy. And then there's photos that I take my time in. I put them in Lightroom, Photoshop. I put them up, bring them back down. Like, no, that's not right. I put my heart and soul into some posts, and they don't do anything. So, I mean, I could never really judge it. I just post whatever I feel that I like, and just hope it's well received.
I wouldn't say my most liked, but I would say my most received picture is probably Red Riding Hood, which is right there in the front, and which went on to being the cover photo for Street Dreams issue 4, which Adorama is part responsible for, because it's funny because I was supposed to be hanging out with my girlfriend that day, but I was like, all right, I gotta go to Adorama, I gotta return this lens or whatever. And while I walk in, I meet Steve, Eric, and Mike, and those guys were like, we were talking to each other, and Eric was like, hey, I want to have some photos shot, and I'm looking for a photographer. So I was like, I am a photographer, and I showed him my website. So this photo was shot a year prior to that. It sat on my website collecting dust, I guess. Nobody saw it, and as soon as Eric sees it, he's like, dude, we got to do something with this photo. And right away, he's like, you know what, we talked about it, and this should be the cover of issue 4. I lost my mind. I was like, oh, snap.
Thanks,
this is
Adorama.
crazy. Yeah, thank you, Adorama. You guys made that happen.
You're welcome.
Next question.
Casey Weathers, this is for Natalie. What advice do you have for other female photographers that are just starting out?
I think that, it's really important not to be intimidated and really put yourself out there and keep shooting. Don't stop taking photos, and you're going to grow and evolve as an artist. It's not about if you're a male or female. It's, about perspective and growth. So as long as you keep on, trying something new and growing as an artist and not letting, other people's opinions matter too much. I mean, always take feedback and learn from it and grow from it, but stick to what you truly believe in and don't stop shooting. Keep shooting. Put yourself out there. Don't be intimidated. Have fun.
2 more questions.
It's not really a question, but Jonathan Skinner's hashtag Miss Hatton 2020.
I'd vote for you.
Okay. Gloria asked for everybody, I will be teaching middle school students photography. It's an after-school program. Have any in the panel had experience with that age group?
Wait, what age?
Middle school.
What age is that?
13. Oh God.
Good luck with that one. No, I'm kidding. I think you just have to treat people, like you treat anybody else, with respect. And if they want to learn, they're going to learn. And to try your best to just teach them your knowledge.
So that's actually the age where I started taking photography seriously. And I think it's a great age to get into it and to learn. And I was in a dark room with like a pin. We started with pinhole cameras. It was like an old Quaker Oats box with a piece of photo paper in it, and I loved it. But I can only imagine. I don't know what kind of tools. I don't know if she can even respond, but I don't know what kind of tools they're gonna have access to. Like, do middle schoolers have iPhones? Yeah, so. Probably, right? So I assume, I would say that
it's been so long.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would say that the technology today, you can learn probably 1 million times faster these days than you could with a dark room. And as much as I miss the experience of watching a photo come to life in the developer and all that stuff, it's like that to me is not the way to teach photography anymore. I think that's a craft that people should still pursue on their own if it interests them. But photo editing apps, the ability to share. Create a little mini social network for the class and just have them share and encourage each other. I think that's the best way to do it. And, if they already have a phone or even an iPod Touch, there's so many free tools that can help them expand their horizons. Like, have them get Visco is free, Snapseed is free. These are incredible apps that I use for my professional work on a daily basis. So I would just try to give them the most modern tools that you can.
Let's do the last one.
All right, last question from Don Rebens. How do I put a price on my image? I'm just a hobby Instagrammer, but I have someone who wants to purchase my pictures for their company, and I don't know where to start.
So I would kind of gauge the situation. I don't know what brand it is. If they're a brand that has a lot of money, I think that you have to kind of go situation by situation, and you shouldn't let a brand like a huge major corporation take advantage of your work. A lot of them like to do that. But if it's a local store or something, maybe you're like, for example, I was shooting for a local restaurant and they just gave me free food. But it's like, the chef is my friend. It's all circumstantial, I think. I'd hesitate to even give a number because I think it depends on the specific situation. But a lot of the work I did that got me to a point where I could start doing a lot of paid work was free. And it was more of an exchange, for either access somewhere really cool or, for a piece of equipment I really wanted or something like that. So I think, money isn't the only value, but you should definitely have some value if you're giving your value to them.
I think it's always, I agree with Dave for sure. And you also want to work with the client and say, well, what can you provide? What are you offering? Just to give you a starting point. That truly does help a lot. But yeah, you could exchange services and, whatever you think is worth your work and whatever will make you happy, that's all that, ends up like that matters.
I think you just have to gauge who it is who's looking to purchase your works. I feel a lot of people like just sell like mini prints. They'll sell it in mass online just so whoever wants to buy it at a set price. But if you're looking to more like fine art stuff, it's about like who your audience or who your clientele is going to be. Because if you cater to like millionaires, you're going to be selling prints for millions of dollars or close to millions of dollars. It's all about who's willing to buy it. It could be the same image that he took on his iPhone or I took on a camera, but if he has a clientele of millionaires who want to buy his prints, then it's going to be valued much higher. So I feel as though you have to just gauge who wants the photo and what they're working with. You kind of have to just research.
Good. Okay, so unless someone in the crowd thought about something, wants to ask a last question, if not, we're gonna move on to our raffle and prizes. So if people online are leaving, thanks for watching. Remember ADORAMA.NYC, all the events and all the videos. What is the raffle? It's getting it? Okay. So we're gonna give away the prints. Yeah. Oh, remember guys, like this are yours.
These are ours?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Get your picture, is yours. Okay, we are waiting for the raffle box.
Raffle time.
No more question? No last question? You have one?
You got a question.
To the mic? So while we wait all this, we get one more question in.
Hi. The question is kind of in regards to, like Dave, I think you said you work in advertising and you do this on the side. How do those work together, or do they, like, what are they allowing or anything like that? I don't.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I do at work.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in a unique situation where it dovetails perfectly.
Yeah.
There's not really a division between.
How, yes. And is there a way to approach that to the agency in terms of like, hey, yeah.
Like how to get into something like that?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say because it's kind of a unique position, and it was like let me see how I can word this. So when they hired me, I had already done a few projects that they actually saw and were like, our brands are starting to have an interest in having a presence on the Instagram platform. And they said, we've seen that you've already done this outside. They're like, do you think you could do this kind of here? So I would say that if you're looking to, move into that market, do some passion projects, like, take matters into your own hands. And a lot of the projects that end up getting me a job in advertising, I had zero budget, just kind of making exchanges with people and finding situations where there was a kind of a symbiosis between a brand and an artist, and saying, I think that we could set something up here where everybody benefits and no money has to change hands. We don't need a contract or anything like that. And I don't think that's a sustainable business model, but it is a way to, you're almost building a resume or a portfolio of branding projects. So, I've done stuff for restaurants, for institutions, museums, hotels, all just kind of as passion projects. And then, if a hotel comes along and they're like, hey, could you help us? I can show them real work that's out there. That's not just a concept in my head, but like proven. And that's the beauty of social media. You have all these numbers to back it up, So it's like, look, I went to this hotel. I brought this person. They put up a post that has 5,000 likes. To the next potential client, that looks great. So I would say, I don't think it's enough to go into, a job interview or something like that empty-handed and just say, like, I want to get into this. You should go with something like, look what I can do, kind of thing. So.
Great. Okay, so let's give away the prints. Oh, you want to ask a question? Behind you? Yeah.
Yeah, hey, so I'm new to the city. I just moved in. Do you know if there's like an Insta meet or something like going on during those days or something?
Follow us.
Yeah. Yeah, add me on Instagram. I'm sorry, you just moved here?
Yeah, I already follow you guys. It's just that I don't know. Just wondering.
But like, are you visiting? Or you
No. I moved to live here. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So I mean,
There's always something going
yeah.
on.
I don't,
As
what's
long
the
as
next thing?
At Worldwide Instameet's coming up, I'm sure somebody's going to be doing something.
Worldwide Instameet?
Yeah.
Okay.
coming up.
Worldwide Instameet.
Maybe me and Dave will host the Instameet.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go with
thank
the
you.
prints. So,
All right, I'll start with Neil.
Neil first?
I'll go this way.
We should go with the order of the prints that I have here. It's gonna be hard to get.
So should I put this number out? So,
Just give it.
all right,
Just give.
lucky winner. You guys got your coupons in your hand. So it's 6884458. That is 6884458.
It's a beautiful photo in the snow. Central Park in the snow. Where is it? Here, you can come and get it.
Yes, please come up here. Don't be shy. Oh, I gotta
yeah.
sign it. Awesome. Should I do that right now or?
Yeah, let's move to Visual by Pierre.
Okay.
Where is this taken?
Dubai.
Oh,
in Abu
Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
Papi.
Grandma.
How much you pay for mine? Was it the bill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do you have the mic? Okay.
Yeah. All right. The winner of this is the person who has keep this coupon on their card. Keep this coupon?
Everyone.
Oh, okay. 688-4468.
Repeat.
688-4468.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi Pop. You want? I mean, oh, you have it there.
I'll just wait till we all.
Okay, yes, fine. So then you can get it signed by you. Okay. So, Gio.
All right, so the next winner is 688-4464. Yay.
This one.
Yes.
Where is this from? Is it Jersey?
Long Island City.
Oh, Long Island City.
Alrighty, let's see here. All right,
Natalie?
so yes, me. So the number is 688-4463. Nice. Oh, I like your hat.
Is this Miami?
It's Miami, yes.
That's sick. I didn't see that one.
Aerial shot to Miami.
Yeah, no problem.
Who's next?
Oh, I guess me. Where's the? Oh.
Did you pass that over to the lady?
I got small hands.
Hairography. That's how I call it.
Hair tricks. No, I'm kidding. 688-4460. Ah, I could do a hair trade on you.
You should get this shot from him.
Thank you.
Be excited.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
Dave?
Oh yeah. All right. All right. I know what we're doing. 688-4467.
Oh, really?
Thank you, sir. I'll sign it after.
Yeah. Awesome. So guys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for staying with us like more than 2 hours. It's been a pleasure working with you. Can't wait to see.
Thank you
what's
for all the
coming
hard
up.
work and everything. You did such a
Okay.
great job. So
Thanks.
for this guy.
Thank you.
Where's the?
Where's the music?